All right, welcome guys to this episode of Prodigy Simply Fit podcast. I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Rob Medsger. If you guys have listened to our podcast, he was actually the very first person that we had on the podcast. He owns a gym here in San Ramon, 3 strong. Quick intro. Rob is a good, like I said, good friend, Spartan race buddy, training mentor. So we're actually at his gym right now, and I figured we were just talking about kind of as gyms are opening back up in the Bay Area, and people are looking to get fit and active again, what things that they should look for in a good quality coach, trainer. And so we thought, hey, why not? We're already working out. Why not just hop down real quick and just record a quick podcast? So Rob, if you could like whittle it down to maybe 2 or 3 things, I figure and then we can kind of just jam out on those topics. Like what would you think would be 1 to 2 things that people should know about, like when it comes to record or thinking about a new trainer?
I would say the first thing is experience and certifications. Is that, you want to make sure that your doctor has gone to med school and actually passed all the exams,
Right.
This is my first time. I'm just going to wing it and see how this works out, Yeah. Oh, thanks, doc. So certifications, and I would say do your homework because, NASM, CSCS, CrossFit, whatever, do your homework. And if you see those letters after their name or on their website, and most trainers have a website, so you're able to do the research beforehand, just look up what those letters mean, what those actual certifications are. Andrew and I are, I don't want to say fortunate, but we both have our master's degrees in exercise physiology. So that's the first level. And then we also got certified and over the years have gotten multiple certifications. So I think the master's degree helps. You don't need to have that advanced degree, but if you're wanting to put your trust, your body in the hands of somebody else, and you want, especially if you're dealing with injuries or you want to handle this thing in the safest possible way, are you getting somebody that on the surface has taken the job seriously and has gotten that extra level of education, And I would say that's the first step. That's certainly not everything because, there are doctors out there that aren't good doctors. There are bad versions of every job out there, regardless of what level of credentials and education it takes. But I would say at the first level, just research the certifications and see if it's, something that's actually reputable.
Yeah. And I think I was going to say along that lines of, it's very much, it shows kind of that person cares, right? And it's more than just a hobby for them. Right? It was more than, unfortunately in the fitness industry, right, there is no barrier to entry. Anyone off the street can become a quote unquote trainer, right? Yeah. And so this way, at least it shows that they cared enough to better themselves in some regard, right? Like Rob said, we decided to spend two more years of our life in school and get our master's degree. But ultimately, I think it sets us up to really kind of help our clients, reach their goals in the safest, most efficient manner. And someone who has gone the extra effort to get, ACSM or CSCS or NSA, like all the different alphabet letters behind the name, it shows that they care enough to be the best that they possibly can be. And they want to take your best interest at heart and as well. So I think along that lines, I think, looking for someone who's professional, right, is another thing to think about in terms of there is no barrier to entry, right? So make sure you're looking at somebody, and I think a website is a great place to look. Social media, things like that. Like it may not be your vibe, but like if you're scrolling through social media and you've got the trainer who's shirt off and doing whatever, might not be the most professional, might not have your best interest at heart. Right. Might not be the best person for you, but somebody who actually takes this seriously, who dresses appropriately, who is I don't even know the other words for it, but like it takes the job seriously.
Yeah. And actually kind of piggyback on that is the fact that, when it comes to the extra certifications and the extra learning, like you think about think about a lawyer or a doctor. They practice medicine, they practice law. They haven't mastered it because it's going to change, it's going to evolve. And so learning all these different techniques and these different methods, really, that's as a trainer, that's your toolkit.
Right.
Not that every tool is appropriate for every single client. So having this knowledge base. But when it comes to certain trainers, it seems like I'm just going to make my clients do what's good for me personally.
Yeah.
And so you might find that Instagram trainer who it's basically a fitness model, and that works for them, but that might not work for you as the individual. And so it's a little tough in this landscape because everything is visual. Most stuff is online. That is your first line. My research is the internet. And so you get those visuals. And if you look at that hot trainer, they might be 20 years old. And they were born that way. And they were a former collegiate athlete. And they've never had an ounce of body fat on them their entire lives. But guess what? You're 50. You have a family. You're injured. You're overweight. And this person who has no life experience and all the genetics to help them out is going to know what's best for you. So it's tough. That's why it's look at the credentials. Is it fairly broad? Is it something that they have to continue educating themselves? And are they putting themselves first, or are they putting their clients first? Like one of the things that I really love that Andrew does with his gym in terms of like the face of it and the social media aspect is the focus is on the clients. And because it's like, that's you. We're not training us, we're training you. And so there are certain things that, I might not do personally in my own workout program, but I know in my little toolkit is absolutely going to be valuable for you. So just, does that trainer, does it seem like they have your best interest in mind, or are they just trying to train, another version of themselves?
Yeah. And I think that goes along the kind of the old adage of like a good coach always adopts their kind of methodology, or like a sports analogy, like their playbook, for example, around the athletes that they have on the team. They don't try to make the athletes necessarily fit into that playbook. So similarly, like, we don't necessarily prescribe to a certain, and apologize, the UPS truck is decided to come deliver packages today.
More weights.
But, we don't prescribe necessarily to a certain exercise other than the fact that everyone should be doing everything correctly and safely. And we believe everyone should get stronger. But how we get there is up to you and what's going to work best for you. And I think that, along that, Rob said the toolbox and the toolkit idea of, I've got all of these different things in my toolkit. What's going to be best for you? And finding that trainer who has that same mentality, as opposed to, I do CrossFit, this is all I do, this is what you're going to do. Or I do bodybuilding, this is all you're, that may not work for you. And that's may not what you want.
And there are trainers that do that, where their clients want that. So that's a good fit. But if you're looking at the bodybuilder trainer who is training people for shows, and you need like injury prevention and more like rehab stuff, hopefully you would make that decision yourself and know like, okay, that's not what I want. I'm going to look for the rehab guy.
So we talked about credentials, talked about being professional. What's another thing that people should think about and look for?
I would say personality. Because especially now, but I would hear it even before lockdown, was I was really the only person outside of coworkers on Zoom and their family that they would talk to. And they're like, literally, you are the only other person in my life. And so you are going to spend whatever trainer that you decide on hiring, you are going to spend a lot of time. Sorry, we have a whole neighborhood. It's,
the zoo here today.
Bustling. Everything's open. But you're going to spend a lot of time with that person. So you need to enjoy their company. And if you're just sitting there going like, yeah, this is great, but like, I don't really like you as a person. Like, I I can't hang out, you know, say like if again, going back to the example of, you know, if you're 50 years old, you might not want to be hanging out with a 20-year-old trainer.
Right.
Like you might
Right.
not be able to talk about certain things outside of exercise.
Correct.
You know, because guess what? We want you to enjoy the time that you
Right.
have, do what you need to do, but you're not just going to stand there quietly for the hour. Like
The longest hour of your life.
oh
right?
my God, I am not excited about this. But when you're walking in the door, you want to spend time with somebody that you enjoy being around.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so personality is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Because you are developing. I mean, I'm friends with all of my clients.
Mhm.
Like we get along, and that's great because they're just like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I think along that line, yeah, exactly, finding someone who's relatable, right? Someone you can relate to, someone who, you know, shares similar interests than you, someone who's maybe at a similar point in their life or in regards to, you know, for example, like if you're 50-year-old professional, like you may not be going out partying every weekend and right. So
Yeah.
finding someone who doesn't relate to you on that regard, right? Like, yeah, you don't have anything to talk about. They don't relate to you in terms of like what you're going through mentally, physically, you know? And so it's easier for somebody who's relates to you to modify their programming or figure out what exactly to do to put you in that right situation to be successful.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm a 20-year-old kid who I've never had any like serious injuries, things like that, I can't necessarily wrap my head around the idea of working through back pain or a shoulder injury, things like that, because I've never been hurt before, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
finding that person who can relate to you a little bit more, kind of meet you where you're at in a way.
Yeah. 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 Because I won't say the name of the gym, but I was at a major gym years ago, and there was this kind of paunchy trainer. It didn't even look like he cared or even, well, he didn't really care about the client. It was obvious, and he didn't really care about his own fitness because he was kind of overweight. And I get that. Everyone's on their own journey. But he was not, it didn't look like he took his own advice. And this woman was saying like, oh, I went on a run. And the guy was like rubbing his belly saying, oh man, I can't run. Running sucks. Like it just hurts. And I'm sitting there like, what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
Why are you, this person is trying to open up to you, and you're just going to tell them that what they did, that good choice that they made for themselves sucked because you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm guessing that guy's not a trainer anymore. I'm guessing he didn't make the cut.
Right.
Because like, why am I not getting
Right.
clients? Why can't I hang on to clients? Because it's like, you're not relatable, and you're not even into what your client is doing. Like, hey, that's, you know, not every trainer is a runner.
Right.
Not every trainer is a weightlifter.
Right.
But if somebody's trying to make the right decisions, applaud that. Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be the cheerleader. You're not really supposed to discourage people from doing things unless it's something that like it's really high risk.
Right.
You know, and it's like, you probably shouldn't do that because that's going to hurt your knees or whatever. But you know, I just, that in the back of my mind was like, I'm never going to be that guy. I don't want to hang out with that person at all.
Right. So as you're looking for a new trainer, right, think of somebody who is got the credentials, right? They've taken the time, the effort, they really take this seriously to where they want to get that extra education. I think another one is like, and Rob mentioned it, is, you know, they're continually looking to improve and learn, right? They're never going to be masters at this, right? We're always learning. Somebody who's professional, somebody who is going to make the program work for you, right? Versus you work for the program. And someone who's relatable, someone who you can have a conversation with, someone you can hang out with. I had another one. It's totally slipped my mind. So if you have one, then I'll think about it. But yeah, I think those are all really good starting points, you know, when it comes to, you know, looking for a personal trainer.
Yeah. And honestly, since training is something that you have to do, it's something that you have to feel, that don't feel like once you've made the decision that you're committed. I mean, you could try something out, and especially, you know, gyms will give like a week for free or 2 weeks free, give you kind of this trial period to test it out, because it's not instant gratification.
Right.
It's something that it takes time to see the changes, if you're not sure, give it a month, give it whatever. And if it's a good fit, great, keep doing it. And if it's not, there's a lot of different options out there. And so the thing is just to find the best fit for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. So we are going to, like I said, we were working out, totally jamming out, and we're like, hey, we should hop on a podcast. So this is totally impromptu, but I figured this would be a good one. So as always, as you guys are watching this or listening to this, please hit the subscribe button, the like button. We'd love all of that feedback, as well as leave any comments. 5-star reviews are always greatly appreciated. And as always, if you guys have any topics that you want us to cover in the Prodigy Simply Fit podcast, we'd love to do that. Until next time, Andrew and Rob, my new kind of impromptu host for the day, maybe in the future, more podcasts, but all right. Well, hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Bye.